Today we'll be continuing our Resort Spotlight series with Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to the Parks podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, July 5th, and you're listening to episode 147, Resort Spotlight, Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. So in terms of the new Disney transportation rules from Disney Springs, we talked about this last week, but it does appear that Disney Resort guests are good to go. So to be clear, guests taking a bus or boat from Disney Springs to the resorts must now show a room reservation, a dining reservation, or an experience reservation. So think like, I think we gave this example last week, but like the Sangria University experience at Coronado Springs, right? That would qualify. You have to show a reservation to be able to board that bus or boat to that resort. This doesn't apply to transportation to and from the parks from the resorts, okay? So it's really only just from Disney Springs. It also seems that as long as you're a guest at a Disney resort, you will be able to take transportation to any resort, okay? So not just the resort that you're staying at, which is nice and what we were actually hoping for. So in practice, that does appear to be the case. This is really, I think, to discourage guests from parking at Disney Springs for free and then take a bus or boat to a resort and then take another boat or bus or whatever form of transportation, right, to the parks. In my opinion, this is a complete waste of time regardless, but it essentially ensures that, the complimentary resort transportation options from Disney Springs are reserved for resort hotel guests and, them being the only ones that can use it, which to me makes absolute sense.
It totally does. Absolutely.
Yeah, because, if you're paying, premium Disney prices to stay on a resort, you want to be able to, not have to wait in super long lines just to get to your resort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with this 100%. I'm fine with it, especially if it does not affect us going from, like, let's say Magic Kingdom, taking a bus to Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah, well, no, that's
what I'm saying.
From the parks, it'll never be a thing. But even from Disney Springs, like if you're not staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, but let's say you want to go because, I don't know, you want to go to the go to the Mar, get some zebra domes. It does appear you can still do that as long as you're staying at a Disney resort, right?
Exactly.
So let's say you're staying at Beach Club, but you want to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge for some zebra domes, you're good.
Yeah.
So long story short, it doesn't seem to impact Disney Resort guests very much at all. It would just impact if you're staying off property and you're trying to circumvent, free parking. Moving on, La Poutinerie is open at the old refreshment port location. So that's right at the entrance to the Canadian Pavilion from the front entrance. It has a small menu of classic poutine, which is just gravy, cheese, and fries. It's a classic for a reason. It's really good. And they also have a smoked meat version as well. If you love the Canadian classic dish, make sure to swing by during your next visit to the park.
The new animatronic pirate at the start of the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction in Disneyland in California is making quite the impression. Fans are actually split. The new animatronic features projection mapping, where the face of the pirate switches from a regular human face to a skeleton, kind of explaining what happens to the pirates in this attraction. Like any changes, the Disney fan base is divided. Some people love it, or at least some people just don't mind it, and then other people believe it's just ruining that classic vibe of the ride.
Yeah.
We actually tend to side with the fact that the change is okay. Even if at first it seems disruptive, generally speaking, people do come to love or at least accept the changes. Like Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the biggest proof of that.
Yeah.
Everybody was in an uproar. Not everybody, but a lot of people were.
Yeah.
I love the change.
For sure.
You can see it now that people like the change too.
And
The songs are fun.
Yeah. And Tiana's a more recent example, but there's like so many examples over the last, several decades at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Like
the newest one will be Carousel of Progress right now.
For sure. Carousel of Progress is a thing. And like when, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout took over their Hollywood Tower Hotel for Tower of Terror, like that was like, oh my God, right? But now people love Mission Breakout, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then still at Disneyland, Earl of Sandwich is now open at Downtown Disney. It's actually nice to see this again, adding a really solid dining option to their already pretty extensive lineup. And then in Disney Cruise Line news, Disney announced some new savings opportunities. You must book by August 30th, 2026, and then you can save up to $500 US per guest on select sailings from October 1st to December 31st, 2026. So for parties of 3 sharing the same stateroom on select 7-night sailings, that's actually a savings of up to $1,500 US.
Which is significant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So this includes sailings for the Halloween and holiday season on the Disney Treasure and Disney Fantasy sailing from Florida, or the Disney Wonder sailing from San Diego. it's just nice to see more consistent savings coming from the DCL.
Yeah, for sure. That's not always been the case. So
Yeah.
any savings is good savings because, the sailings aren't cheap.
True.
And happy 4th of July weekend to all of our American listeners. Even though it's going to be a little late by the time this episode airs, we hope you had a chance to, celebrate the holiday and have just some downtime with your loved ones, right? Eat some good foods, maybe watch some fireworks. And
250, that's pretty significant.
It's very significant. Absolutely. Yep.
And then for us, not a whole lot is new this week. We actually have Oliver's sister still with us. Her husband, our brother-in-law, flew out back to Ottawa early yesterday morning. So that was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But Alex is actually here for another week. She is hanging out with our kids all week. They don't have to go anywhere, but they'll just hang with her.
Yep.
They're having a blast. So another week with Auntie Alex. They are looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. With that said, let's get into today's main topic, which will be a resort spotlight of Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. That's what they call it, Resort and Spa, but Disney's Grand Flo. So the Grand Floridian is the unofficial flagship resort at Walt Disney World because there isn't actually one, but if there was one, this would be it. It sits right across from Magic Kingdom on Seven Seas Lagoon, and that means it is on the resort's monorail loop. You can't miss it when you're in the area. It's got the iconic red roofs, right, and the pure white buildings. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
It's also walking distance to Magic Kingdom, although it is a pretty decent walk, but there is a walking path there. And we would say, at least for us, it's a big appeal of staying here. Yeah, we did it
in September of 2024, and it was a nice walk. I actually enjoyed it.
We walked all the way to the Poly from there too, so it is a little bit further. But depending on your clip, how fast you walk, about 20 minutes. The resort opened its doors in 1988, making the last of the monorail resorts to open, with the Polynesian and Contemporary both opening in 1971. That was the same year as Magic Kingdom.
And then when it opened, it was initially named the Disney's Grand Floridian Beach Resort, and then was renamed to Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. And since the opening, the resort received some additions, namely the Wedding Pavilion, which opened in 1995, Narcoossee's opened in 1996, and Citrico's opened in 1997. In 2013, the villas at the resort opened, adding 147 guest rooms, including studios, and then 1- and 2-bedroom villas and 3-bedroom grand villas. The Spa and Health Club was refurbished and reopened as Senses, a Disney spa.
Shout out to DCL there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It is a deluxe resort, obviously, and comes with all the associating perks of staying on property, including those extended evening hours.
Yeah, exactly. And then in terms of theming, the resort has what Disney calls a Victorian-style theming, which evokes Palm Beach's golden era. Okay, so think old school Palm Beach. It definitely has a very elegant and charming feel overall, and you can definitely feel that immediately when you walk into the lobby, because it doesn't feel I wouldn't say stuffy, but it's definitely swanky. I would say it's the fanciest of
swanky
the Disney
is a
resorts.
really good word. Yeah.
And the lobby actually got a major refurb that was late last year, and it has completely new furnishings, updated carpeting, and just kind of a refreshed color palette that's a little bit more modern, I would say, similar to what's started to already appear throughout the guest rooms and the public areas that have been refurbished again in recent months. Disney has explicitly said that these updates are geared towards retaining the hotel's legacy, right? So the original theming, while adding what Disney is calling, quote, a lighter, more timeless take, right, on the original Victorian design. So yeah, it's just bringing it into the 21st century, I guess you could say. Essentially, it's just adding a more modern flair paired with that classic elegance.
Yeah, the front of the resort is all white with the red roofs, just like all of the resort buildings. There's a porte-cochere there for guests being dropped off. So when you enter the lobby, like Oliver said, you can feel that swankiness immediately when you walk through the doors. The floor is tiled, and there's a large GF inlaid in the tile as well. There are beautiful white pillars, and the space opens up into this massive multi-story lobby. It is very pretty.
Very pretty,
Yeah. The refreshed carpets in the center were recently updated and feature rich colors of deep blue, greens, and beautiful floral designs. There is plenty of seating in there. Think couches, chairs, side tables, and coffee tables. There is a lot of seating. And then in the middle of the space is also where you're going to be able to find the Perch, which is the lounge that opened with the lobby refurbishment back in November of 2025.
Yeah, that's right. And from this space, the center of the lobby is actually open to all of the upper floors, right? So there's these massive white columns extending all the way up. And then you have these kind of beautiful white railings all around that line the hallways to the higher floors where there's actual club level guest rooms. And of course, there's, as you would expect, right, massive elegant chandeliers are right in the middle of it all. And then they also have these dome skylights on the ceiling, way, way up there. Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but it really is such a beautiful and really a massive lobby. When you first walk in from the front doors, right, so facing the back of the resorts, the check-in desks are on your right. On the ground floor, you also have the Perch, like Lucy said, that's that new lounge. They have Curiouser Clothiers, which is a merchandise shop, 1900 Park Fair. And if you continue further down on your left, when you're facing the back of the resort, you're going to find the Garden View Lounge, which just reopened recently, the Sandy Cove Gift and Sundry Shop, which is the main merchandise location, the Grand Floridian Cafe, Gasparilla Island Grill, and Arcadia Games. The second floor lobby actually has more up there. So you have M Mouse Mercantile, which is another like merchandise location that's also right near the monorail station. So that's actually on the second floor, kind of like the way it is at Poly.
Yes.
On the far end near the back entrance is the Enchanted Rose, which is a lounge, and Victoria and Albert's, which is probably the fanciest restaurant in all of Walt Disney World. And also you're going to find Citrico's up there as well.
Yeah, that's right. And all of this is housed in the main building. So to your left, when you are facing the front of the resort, you have the Convention and Business Center. The leftmost building to the left of the main building is the Sago Cay building, which is right on the water. And then right next to that is the Sugarloaf Key and Conch Key buildings, which are also on the water. Narcoossee's is out here in its own right by the water as well. And then across from Sugarloaf Key is Boca Chica. And then next to that is the Big Pine Key. In the center of these buildings is the Courtyard Pool and Pool Bar. This is the leisure pool at the resort. And then just outside of the right side of the main building is the beach pool, which is the main pool area for this resort. There's a beach pool bar here as well. And then next to that is the Villas building. The Spa and Health Club are right next to the Villas. And then at the rightmost point of the resort, you actually have the Wedding Pavilion. If you keep going past, you'll come to the new Island Tower that's actually part of the Polynesian Resort. They're almost kind of like connected now because of the tower.
Exactly. The tower has bridged that gap, and it's like essentially right next to the Wedding Pavilion is the Island Tower.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. And despite the many buildings, right, the resort is actually, like we've named a bunch of buildings, right, but it's actually pretty compact. It's not super spread out. You know, think like Saratoga, Old Key West, Caribbean Beach, among a few others, right? These are really spread out.
Not so
Grand
much
Flow
here.
doesn't feel like that at all. Yeah. Regardless of where you're staying, you're just not that far from anything, which is nice. Now let's get into room categories. Okay, so the rooms at the resorts were refreshed very recently, and the resort is actually still undergoing updates as we speak, and those are expected to be complete sometime in 2027. There's actually a lot of room categories here, but we'll try to just kind of keep it as simple as possible. So in terms of regular guest rooms, so not DVC studios or villas, you have resort view, water view, and theme park view rooms. All of these rooms are essentially identical, right? It's just the view that changes. So these have 2 queen beds, 1 day bed, or just 2 queen beds, or 1 king bed and 1 double-side sleeper sofa, or just 1 king bed. Okay, so like 4 different configurations of these rooms. The floor is a natural wood color, and the furnishings are blue and cream colors. They feature a TV stand that doubles as a dresser like most other Disney resorts, right? There's also a balcony or a patio, depending what floor you're on. There's a seating area. The washrooms have double sinks, which is a nice touch. They also have like really nice tile in there and the kind of blue and cream color palette in here as well. There's also a coffee nook with a coffee maker, a beverage cooler, and you also have what I guess I'd call like a makeup table. It's like a small table that's kind of long and skinny with a mirror and a stool. So I don't know. I would imagine it'd be a nice place to put makeup on.
Mm-hmm.
The rooms are really nice. They look upscale, nice soft colors with like subtle Mary Poppins touches as well throughout, which is a nice touch. The resort views start at around $879 per night, water view around $927, and theme park view around $1,100. So yeah, some of the most expensive standard prices on property for sure.
Yeah, these are definitely steep prices for sure. You also have the deluxe club level rooms, not to be confused with the deluxe studios. These are larger and have more space for sure, with 2 queen beds sleeping up to 4, with a full 3-seater couch and a second seating area with a small table and 2 chairs. You still will have that coffee nook, beverage cooler, and balcony or patio, depending on which floor you're on. And these actually start around $1,500 a night. And then they also have a bunch of club level rooms and suites, and there's a lot. So we'll just kind of go over them quickly. And to be clear, all of the following include club access. So they have the resort view, theme park view, and water view rooms, which are the same as the resort view standard rooms, but with that club access. So deluxe king rooms, 1-bedroom suites, the Victorian suite, the 1-bedroom theme park view suites, 2-bedroom suites, 2-bedroom theme park view suites, the grand suite, and the Disney suite. These start at $1,500 a night and only go up from there to well over $3,000 a night.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Of course, it's very, very expensive. And on the villa side, you have the DVC rooms, right? So you have the deluxe studios with resort or preferred view. Both of these feature one queen bed and one queen size pull down bed and one single pull down bed that sleep up to 5. So these are like the new configuration, right? With like the Murphy bed that's like a pull down and then the single bed that pulls out from the dresser. Yeah. Super great configuration.
Sophia still fits in that pull down single bed.
For sure.
So
At this,
nice.
With our family at this stage of our lives, this is a great configuration. We absolutely love it. The resort view has views of either the courtyard, landscaping, the monorail, or parking area. The preferred view has lake views, right? So water views essentially. Like most studios on property, they have carpeted floors, a kitchenette with a microwave, toaster, coffee maker, an actual mini fridge, so not just a beverage cooler, and a sink so that you can do like, small dishes. And then they also have like some basic kitchenware, right? So think like plates and cutlery. They also have that split bathroom design with a sink and shower in one room and then the tub and shower combo and toilet in the other, which is super nice. The resort view rooms start around $879 and the preferred view at over $900 per night. You also have the resort studios with either resort, water, or theme park view. These have the exact same configuration as the regular guest rooms, but they're in that DVC category. All of these start at over $900 a night. And then you have the one-bedroom villas with resort or preferred views. These feature one king bed and one queen-size pull-down bed and one single pull-down bed. They include one full bathroom, 2 sink areas, which is awesome, a full kitchen, living and dining areas, washer and dryer, and a balcony or patio.
And then you also have the 2-bedroom villas with resort or preferred views. These have one king bed and 2 queen beds and a queen-sized pull-down bed and one single pull-down bed. They include 2 full bathrooms, full kitchen, living and dining areas, washer and dryer, and a balcony. And then last but not least, the 3-bedroom grand villas with 1 king bed and 4 queen beds and 1 queen-size pull-down bed. They include 4 full bathrooms, a full kitchen, living and dining area, washer and dryer, and balcony, and they are astronomically expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Big rooms, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, next up, let's talk dining. So this is another one of Grand Flow's strong points. There are several dining options here, which are actually really great. First up, you've got Gasparilla Island Grill. This is located in the main building on the ground floor, not far from the courtyard pool. This is the main quick service location at the resort. It's open nice and early at 6 a.m., which is honestly amazing. Definitely our kind of place because you want to get to Magic Kingdom for rope drop. You can grab a coffee here
You can grab
first.
a couple coffees beforehand. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally.
It's open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it closes at midnight too. So you can grab some late night options here as well. I love the hours of this place.
Yeah, for sure.
For breakfast, they do a breakfast platter, Mickey waffles, a croissant egg sandwich, and a plant-based breakfast wrap with tofu and oatmeal as well. They also have a choose your own parfait bar where you'll choose your base of Greek yogurt, acai, overnight oats, or oatmeal, and then just add your own toppings. You can make it as decadent as you want, which is actually really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. And for kids, they have an egg breakfast or Mickey waffles as well. So that should appeal to most kids. They also have their bakery, which is actually solid, right? They actually have a bunch of offerings there. So think the usual things, but also some exclusive and delicious treats like the Mickey chocolate choux, which is a chocolate pâte à choux filled with like a chocolate chantilly cream, and it's phenomenal. Then they also have some grab and go options as well. For lunch and dinner, they have a buffalo chicken flatbread, a pepperoni flatbread, and a plain cheese version as well. They have the barbacoa bowl, a chicken bowl, a tofu bowl, and house-made mac and cheese. That's actually really, really good. They have an artisan burger, jerk barbecue chicken strips with pineapple salsa, and chicken strips, of course. And they also have several sandwich options and salads as well. For kids, they have a cheeseburger, a chicken wrap, and a ham and cheese kids pack or a kids turkey sandwich. Each of these come with 2 sides, so you can make it as healthy or as, a little bit less healthy as much as you want to.
We do love that. We like to get those sandwich packs with one healthy and one not so healthy. And then you feel good about it.
Yeah, just to balance things a
exactly.
little bit. Yeah.
Next up is the Grand Floridian Cafe. This is a table service restaurant that is probably the most casual out of all the restaurants outside of Gasparilla, but it still feels really elegant in there, and it definitely fits with the theming of the resort. It's basically all white in there, aside from the carpet, which has a floral motif. It actually reminds me of the Cake Bake Shop over at Boardwalk.
Yes, white everywhere. Yeah.
So despite the swanky interior, it is casual American dining in terms of menu items. They do brunch from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then dinner from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. The brunch menu features steak and eggs, breakfast sandwich, buttermilk fried chicken and waffles, and a few savory options as well, like the Grand Floridian Cafe Burger, club sandwich, miso glazed salmon, among a few other options. They actually also have a selection of French toast and waffles, which is a nice option as well. And then for kids, they have scrambled eggs, Mickey waffles, cheeseburgers, chicken tenders, among a few other options as well. For dinner, they have some of the same options, but actually a few more added to the menu as well, like the slow braised pork shank, steak and garlic parmesan fingerlings, and a farmer's market vegetable with your choice of protein. We wouldn't necessarily go out of our way to eat here, but it is a good option if you are staying here.
Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah. And still in the main building on the ground floor is 1900 Park Fare, okay, which I'm not sure if we mentioned it earlier, did we? It's in the lobby anyway.
You did mention the name of it.
Yeah. So this is a character buffet that is seriously delicious. Okay,
so good.
It was closed actually for the longest time. It hadn't reopened since pre-pandemic. When it finally reopened, that was back in April of 2024. So it was closed for like pretty much 4 years. The inside has lovely Disney touches with artwork all along the walls. The space got a refresh, like we were saying, right during that closure. And it's actually really nice in here. During your meal, you're usually going to get to meet with Aladdin, Cinderella, Mirabelle, and Princess Tiana. These sometimes rotate, okay, so your mileage may vary there. And actually, if I remember correctly, when we ate there in 2024, I think it was May, Aladdin wasn't there.
He was not.
We met Snow White instead.
Yes.
So,
which is fun because you don't always get to meet those characters. So that's fun.
For sure. Absolutely. And yeah, there's like some seriously delectable dishes here, right? So they do a breakfast and dinner. Breakfast has all of the classics, right? So think like Eggs Benedict and Mickey waffles. At dinner, there's a ton of tasty options, including Tiana's gumbo and a full meat carving station, which is awesome. This is also where you're going to find that Grand Floridian strawberry soup, which is super popular. And it's actually a really good dessert. Yeah. I actually quite enjoyed it. We loved our meal here and we would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, our kids ate well here too. Definitely high on my list of places to eat, especially buffet.
For sure. And they do like a little star thing at the front.
Yes, it's
at
very
the start.
sweet.
Yeah, that's super awesome. Yeah.
Citricos is on the second floor of the main building. This is a signature dining restaurant that received a reimagining fairly recently. The inside of the space is inspired by Mary Poppins Returns. There are subtle touches inside the restaurant, and it is a beautiful and elegant space with plenty of windows to let in that natural light with views of the Seven Seas Lagoon and then Magic Kingdom in the distance. The chairs are blue, red, or floral and are nice and plump. And the carpets have blue accents and complements the restaurant perfectly. It is really nice in here. They have a lovely elevated menu featuring surf and turf options like steak cuts, short ribs, and a few fish options. They do have a kids menu, but this is definitely more of like date night vibes, in my opinion.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
And then out on the water in its own building is Narcoossee's. It's also been refurbished semi-recently, and then it reopened in 2023. It is a circular restaurant with beautiful windows all around the building, and it looks directly onto Seven Seas Lagoon and Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yep.
The space inside has beautiful natural wood-colored floors and booths with pillars that reach to the wooden ceiling. We're not doing it justice. It's really, really pretty in here.
It is a beautiful restaurant.
Amazing views, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just another really great option for date night. It also has a surf and turf menu with plenty of fish and meat options that should appeal to most people.
Yeah, exactly. And rounding out the table service restaurants is Victorian-inspired. Okay, so this is beyond fine dining. I would say it's the most exclusive restaurant at Walt Disney World, right? We've actually never been here. So this is what Disney says about it, okay? So dine under the Grand Rotunda Dome in the dining room at Victorian-inspired. This elegant space is reminiscent of a garden, from its Victorian-themed murals and wall coverings to the graceful flowers and butterflies that adorn the ceiling. Settle in for a delectable dining experience with world-class service and thoughtful touches from beginning to end.
I could see us maybe eating there once when we're retired and, you know, we don't have kids' activities to pay for and stuff, and we could actually afford this meal.
For sure.
I could see us definitely eating there once we're retired.
Yeah, potentially, right? Reservations. I know reservations are really, really hard to get, right? And the meal, of course, is very expensive. Like Lucy's saying, right? It could be good if you're celebrating something like particularly special, right? Or if you're wanting like an exceptional dining experience. But yeah, like we'll be honest, it's way and above anything that we'd look for out of our Disney vacation at this stage in our lives.
Yes,
at
exactly.
least. Yeah. Outside of that, there are a few lounges at the resort. So Citricos has an attached lounge. The Perch, which sits right in the center of the main lobby, like we were mentioning earlier, it has a small selection of cocktails. You also have the popular Garden View Lounge, the tea experience. So this is actually an afternoon tea experience featuring premium Twinings tea selections and paired with bakery items and a few other small bites. This reopened, again, fairly recently after a refurbishment, right? And everything in there is themed to Alice in Wonderland. We've never done it, but apparently it's quite a nice experience, especially for like, maybe like a mom-daughter combo kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the second floor, you also have the Enchanted Rose. This is a lounge in another space that has been recently reimagined. The space is inspired by Beauty and the Beast, and it is really beautiful in there. The walls and the ceilings are a dark blue. The windows overlook the resort and add a ton of natural light to the darker lounge. And then there is subtle Beauty and the Beast theming throughout the other spaces as well, like the Rose, Cogsworth, the Parent Study. And then the Beauty and the Beast influences on the menu as well. They have a really good selection of light bites and then a ton of cocktails, including the Roses and Rhubarb, the Floral Bitter Beauty, the Lavender Fog, the Garden Daisy, the Rye Knot, among many others. Belle is my favorite princess. She always has been. So I definitely love this lounge.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And then last but not least, you have the pool bars. So Beach Pool Bar and Grill is over by the Flagship Pool. This serves a lunch menu until 6 p.m. with options like the Island Chicken Caesar Salad, shrimp sliders, the artisanal burger, chicken strips, loaded barbecue pork chips, among a few other options. And then they have a full bar as well as some fun cocktails. The Courtyard Pool Bar has a smaller menu, but features options like a roasted turkey sandwich with chips, the caprese sandwich with chips, the Caesar salad with chicken, the gourmet all beef hot dog, among a few other options. And they also have a full bar here as well.
Yeah, exactly. So all in all, right, I would say a really solid lineup of options for sure, right? We'd say that the best options for kids are probably Grand Floridian Cafe and 1900 Park Fair, obviously, right? That being a character meal. And then obviously Gasparilla Island Grill, which is just the main quick service.
Yeah.
The other options are definitely, I would say, more elevated, right? And by extension, more expensive. So we'd say these are better for adults, right? Or just families with older kids. But given that it's a deluxe resort, it does just have more options in general, right? That is more essentially than what you're going to find at some of the other resorts on property. Plus being on the monorail, right? You actually have quick access to both Polynesian and contemporary that also have a bunch of dining options. So yeah, no shortage of dining anywhere near here.
You're good to go in that location for sure.
All right, next up, let's talk pools and recreation. So the main pool area, which we alluded to a couple of times already, is the beach pool. It's pretty big at 111,000 gallons, and it overlooks the Seven Seas Lagoon, obviously, and then the backdrop being Magic Kingdom, so that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
There's a 181-foot-long water slide set in like a natural springs-themed rock formation, man-made, obviously.
Yeah.
And it also has a cascading waterfall, which is really nice, and zero-depth entry. There's an aquatic play area for the smaller kids right next to it as well. So, yeah, thinks of the littles that are maybe too small for that slide.
Mm-hmm.
The courtyard pool is a leisure pool, also with zero entry, and it's located behind the main building. And there's also a whirlpool spa right over there as well, which is super nice. This is definitely the more relaxed of the two options, right? The kids are going to want to go to the beach pool. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like all other Disney resorts, there are movies under the stars on the courtyard lawn at 8:30 p.m. on Sundays and Thursdays. Currently, the movies are Moana 2 and Lilo and Stitch, the 2025 version. There are campfires nightly from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. near Beach Pool. Marshmallows are free, and the s'mores kits are available for a fee.
Yeah, like everywhere else.
There are nighttime pool parties at the Beach Pool deck on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. There's the Cheshire Challenges at the Beach Pool deck daily at 1 p.m. and then poolside activities right after, also daily at 1:30 p.m., led by cast members. There's also nighttime trivia on the Beach Pool deck on Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. You can actually also rent cabanas at the pool from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. There are boat rentals at Captain's Shipyard daily from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the Arcadia Games Arcade is open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Outside of that, you also have the spa, the health club, the walking and running trails around the Seven Seas Lagoon, the electrical water pageant every single night on Seven Seas Lagoon, and fireworks cruises on the water as well.
Yeah, and for the electrical water pageant, if you have rooms that are like on the water, you're going to hear it.
Yes.
Okay, so just FYI, it runs like when the sun goes down, right? So if you have littles, you're going to be able to hear that. You're also going to be able to hear the bang of the fireworks as well.
Yes.
The first time we stayed at the Polynesian, that was the first time we had stayed on a monorail resort. And like the first time we started hearing the fireworks, at first we were like, what the heck is this banging? And then just come to realize like, oh yeah, okay, it's fireworks time.
So true. Yeah.
So just that's one of the downsides, I guess you could say, of being so close to Magic Kingdom. Yeah. But aside from that, if you're in the mood for some shopping, there's a few stores at the Grand Flo, most notably M. Mouse Mercantile, Curiouser Clothiers, and the main merchandise store, which we alluded to a couple times. That's Sandy Cove Gift Shop and Sundries. This is going to have your essentials, right? So think like, like Band-Aids, toothpaste, as well as a few grocery items, things like that. And we say this all the time, right? But there's just always something going on at your Disney resort, right? These are always subject to change, of course, right? And they do change seasonally. So make sure to kind of check on the website before you leave. The My Disney Experience app is also a good resource. And failing that, just go see the cast members at the front of the resorts. They know what's going on. And there's usually like boards right on the ground in the main lobby that shows what activities are going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of transportation, the resort is super well connected, obviously, right? You can take the monorail to Magic Kingdom and to Epcot by extension, right, with a transfer at TTC. You can also take boats from the resort docks to Magic Kingdom, and it's buses to Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Disney Springs. One quick note is, and you're going to find this out if you stay here, is that off-peak times, Grand Floridian will sometimes share buses with the Polynesian. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. When it's not as busy and they can't fill the buses, they'll sometimes share that bus. But given that the resort is pretty compact, it also just has that one bus stop, which is awesome. And failing all of that, you can always take your own 2 feet, right? There's a lovely walking path that we talked about that leads right from Grand Flo to Magic Kingdom. It's a decent walk. Like we said, probably about 20 minutes or so, depending on how quickly you walk. But that's definitely, I would say, one of the big perks of staying here. It's just that it's really well connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Now for the pros and cons. The biggest pro is probably proximity to Magic Kingdom, and then by extension, access to the monorail and walkable to Magic Kingdom, like we said. There are also some really incredible dining options here and some great but subtle theming in these spaces as well. It is a really beautiful resort, and the lobby is just so grand. At Christmas time, they put a massive Christmas tree in here, and it's just absolutely magical. Honestly, we were actually pretty heartbroken to find out that the gingerbread house won't be going up there anymore. But they did say that something else will be added in its place, so we're definitely curious to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last pro is probably just that it's a very quiet, or I should say pretty quiet atmosphere, especially when you do compare it to the other 2 monorail resorts. The Poly and the Contemporary are just way more rowdy.
For sure.
I feel like more people would take their kids to those 2 versus the Grand Flo.
Yes,
the
definitely.
Grand Flo gives off like retired couples vibes.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of families stay there too. But to your point, yes, like Polynesian is, I would say, one of the most popular resorts on all of Disney properties. So it does attract a lot of people. Even people just want to go visit, right? Because they're going to dine at Ohana or checking out Trader Sam's, right? It has a lot of draw for a lot of people. And the Contemporary with the monorail and Chef Mickey's is just so chaotic in there.
Yes.
But yeah, Grand Flo definitely feels a little bit more chill.
Agreed.
It
feels resort-like.
Yeah, definitely.
And then for cons, it's expensive, obviously. Probably the most expensive of the monorail resorts. And then one of, if not the most expensive on property. This is out of reach for many families for just that reason alone.
Agreed, 100%. Yep.
The theming is elevated pretty much everywhere, including the restaurants. That may not appeal to everyone and could leave some people feeling out of place. We won't lie, we always feel a little bit out of place walking in here, especially when we're just in our like park clothes where we've been like all day and we're just in the afternoon. We're like, oh no, we look not like we belong.
Yeah,
here.
so this was a few years back, actually. We were going to check out the gingerbread house.
Yeah.
And we walked in there and we were just wearing whatever it was, shorts and t-shirts. And we're like, oof, feel a little underdressed. But yeah, on that note, like I wouldn't call it stuffy or anything, right? But it's just like Lucy said, it definitely has that more like...
It's the swankiest of there.
Yeah, definitely the most elegant resorts, right? At Walt Disney World, or the swankiest, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. And with that, we'll leave you with our final thoughts. So we really do like Grand Floridian, right? It's a beautiful resort, like Lucy was saying. Great dining, great lounges, a good pool area, and super, super close to Magic Kingdom. So we could definitely recommend a stay here. Having said that, I would recommend that if you're visiting Walt Disney World, right, because you're already here on vacation and you're considering a stay at Grand Floridian, swing by on your Magic Kingdom day, right? Just hop on the monorail and go check it out. It's kind of hard to put into words, but I know that the resort is not for everyone, right? It's not as accessible as, like we were saying, places like the Poly, which I think attracts more families, and Contemporary as well a little bit, right? So before you drop like, $800 or more a night, just kind of have a poke around and see if it appeals to you and your family.
Absolutely. I totally agree with this.
With that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Disney's Grand Floridian Resort. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts, and for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at letsgo.totheparks, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to the Parks. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.